I never imagined that the woman I had trusted most in this world, my wife, someone I thought would always have my back, would betray me in the worst way possible. But when I woke up half-dressed in a locked guest room at some party I could barely remember arriving at, I knew something was horribly wrong. The last thing I distinctly remembered was sipping a drink she handed me. It was a Saturday night, and Lily had insisted we attend one of her fancy parties. One of those pretentious gatherings with her so-called friends, wealthy elites and social climbers. I wasn't fond of these events, but she practically begged me, saying, "Just this one night, darling. It'll be fun." I should have known better. The first sign something was off was the way she watched me, closely monitoring every sip of the whiskey she poured for me. Then, she nudged me toward the couch, whispering, "Relax, babe. Just unwind for once." And after that, nothing. When I regained consciousness, my head throbbed and my limbs felt heavy. I was sprawled out on a lavish guest bed in someone's mansion, stripped down to just my boxers. The sound of laughter, clinking glasses, and muffled conversations echoed in the background. Panic set in as I realized the door was locked from the outside. That's when I knew Lily had done something to me. I forced myself to think past the haze clouding my mind. Lily had been distant lately, secretive, with late-night texts and hush phone calls. The expensive clothes she wore weren't bought with my money. I suspected an affair, but had no concrete proof. But now, was this her way of setting me up? A compromised, drunken husband locked away while she went on to God knows what downstairs. Or worse, was she planning something even more humiliating? Some stage scenario where she would paint me as a fool, the boring, useless husband, and give herself the moral high ground to leave? Whatever it was, I wasn't about to let it happen. I needed to escape. I quickly scanned the room for anything that could help. The window was too high, and there was no phone. But then I spotted something, a housekeeping cart carelessly left inside the room, with a set of keys sitting on top. "Thank you, careless host." Within minutes, I was out. I grabbed a robe to cover myself and sneaked into the hallway, moving quickly. As I neared the main hall, the laughter grew louder, and then I heard her voice, Lily. Confident, laughing. The sound of a woman in complete control. I moved closer, just enough to see her. She stood at the center of a circle of guests, glass in hand, smirking. "So yeah," she was saying, "I told him he needed to loosen up. Let go of that uptight, boring husband persona." She laughed, and the others joined in. I might have given him something to help him relax. And now, he's probably passed out in one of the guest rooms, drooling into a pillow. God knows he's not going to be much use tonight. The crowd burst into laughter. My fists clenched. So, this was her game, drugging me, locking me away, and using me as the punchline in front of her new circle of shallow, wealthy friends. She wanted an out, wanted me to be the laughingstock so she could leave, looking like the sophisticated woman who had outgrown me. Well, sweetheart, you played the wrong game. I adjusted the robe, straightened my back, and stepped forward. The moment I entered, the room fell silent. Lily's eyes widened, her smirk faltering. "Hey, honey," I said, my voice smooth but shaking with suppressed anger. "You were telling them about me?" Her mouth opened and closed, panic flashing in her eyes. I turned to the crowd, offering them a slow, knowing smile. "Sorry to disappoint you all," I continued, "but my wife was telling you how she drugged me tonight." A chuckle escaped me, and I turned back to Lily. I assumed that's why I woke up half-naked in a locked room upstairs. Gasps. Murmurs. Someone choked on their drink. Lily's face turned white. "You were drunk," she stammered, but I interrupted smoothly, stepping closer. "Drunk? Right? So, what did you slip into my drink, Lily?" I remember exactly one whiskey before everything went dark. And well, considering I woke up alone, half-dressed, in a locked guest room, I think we both know what happened. Dead silence. Then a voice, a woman, older, likely influenced by the crowd, spoke. "Wait, you drugged your husband." Lily turned to her, panic evident in her eyes. "No, it was just a joke. I swear." I pulled out my phone and began tapping the screen. "A joke? Oh, so you won't mind if I call the police right now?" I think drugging someone without consent is considered a crime. Lily's face drained of color. She was cornered. The crowd shifted, some murmuring, others backing away. The men looked uncomfortable, some disgusted. The women looked at her with pity and quiet judgment. Lily had spent years building a perfect social image, one that would blend her into the elite. But now, she was about to become the scandal of the season. I turned to the host, an older man who had been watching with narrowed eyes. "I think I'll take my leave, but I might need a ride since my wife planned for me to be incapacitated." The host nodded firmly. "I'll have my driver take you home." Lily grabbed my arm. "Wait, please. Let's just talk." I peeled her hand off of me like she was something filthy. "Talk? You mean the way you talked about me tonight? Like I was some joke? Like I was nothing?" Tears welled up in her eyes, but I didn't care. "Lily," I said quietly, my voice cold, "you just burned everything to the ground." With that, I turned and walked out. The social fallout was immediate and brutal. Word spread quickly through her circles. The friends who once admired her for her charm and wit now saw her for what she truly was: heartless, calculating, and willing to drug her own husband for amusement. Whispers followed her everywhere. The charity events she had once flaunted her way in had dried up. The upscale boutiques she frequented, the sales clerks exchanged awkward glances when she walked in, offering only forced, uncomfortable smiles. And worst of all, the elite husbands and wives who had once been charmed by her now had prior engagements whenever she tried to arrange a get-together. She was persona non grata. I should have been satisfied. I should have walked away and left it at that. But some wounds run deeper than mere humiliation. I wasn't done with her yet, destroying the woman who tried to destroy me. I wasn't foolish. I knew Lily wouldn't just bow out quietly. Even after the party disaster, I fully expected her to retaliate. What I didn't expect was how desperate she would become. The morning after the party, I woke up to an email notification from my lawyer. The subject, urgent, Lily's legal threats. I sighed, already knowing what it was about. I called my attorney, Mark, who had been handling my affairs since I started suspecting Lily's infidelity. "She's trying to file for divorce," Mark explained, his voice laced with amusement. "Claims you were emotionally abusive, inattentive, and controlling. She wants half of your assets and spousal support." I barked out a laugh. Spousal support? She hasn't worked a real job in years. Does she really think I'm just going to hand her my money? "That's not even the best part," Mark continued. "She's also claiming she's the victim here. Says she only acted out at the party because she was under immense emotional distress due to your coldness in the marriage." I rubbed my temples. This was classic Lily, trying to twist things in her favor and play the victim. But she had forgotten one very crucial thing. I wasn't the fool she married. I was ready for this. Weeks before the disastrous party, I had hired a private investigator. What he uncovered was a treasure trove of evidence: texts, late-night rendezvous, hotel receipts. Lily's affair with her latest fling, a younger corporate executive named Ryan, was fully documented. Lily had drugged me, humiliated me, and now she wanted to paint herself as the victim? Not on my watch. I sent every damning piece of evidence straight to Mark, who wasted no time filing a counter lawsuit. The legal papers I sent Lily were brutal: allegations of marital misconduct, evidence of her extramarital affair, reckless endangerment, proof she drugged me without consent, defamation, and public humiliation with intent to destroy my reputation. I didn't just want a divorce. I wanted her left with nothing. When Lily received the divorce papers, she panicked. She called, she texted, and even showed up in my office unannounced, wearing her most expensive dress, mascara smudged from tears. "Please, let's just talk," she pleaded, gripping my wrist as if she still had some power over me. I leaned back in my chair, watching her unravel. "Talk," I scoffed. "Like you talked at that party? Like you drugged me into silence?" "No, Lily, we don't talk anymore." Her eyes darted around, desperate. "I made a mistake. We can fix this. We can go to counseling." I cut her off with a cold chuckle. "We're past counseling. You don't get to humiliate me, try to steal my money, and then ask for reconciliation when it all backfires." She trembled, her nails digging into my arm. "What do you want?" "I want you to suffer, Lily," I said, my voice low and measured. "The way you wanted me to suffer." I want you to wake up every day and realize the only person you fooled was yourself." Her lip quivered. "You can't do this." "Oh, I already have," I said. The divorce was finalized, and within weeks, with the affair exposed and her reckless endangerment documented, Lily lost everything. No spousal support, no assets, not even the condo she had been eyeing. She walked away with nothing but the clothes on her back. Her downfall was swift. With her social reputation already in ruins, Lily was left scrambling. Word had spread about the drugging incident and her new lover, Ryan. He dumped her the moment the scandal reached his company. She tried to move in with her friends, but none of them wanted anything to do with her anymore. The ones who had sided with her at the party quickly abandoned her when my legal case destroyed her credibility. Last I heard, Lily was renting a small apartment on the other side of town, far from the luxury she had once flaunted. No more designer clothes, no more first-class vacations, just a lonely, desperate woman who played the game and lost. As for me, I thrived. My business boomed, my social life refreshed, and I enjoyed a new sense of freedom. I had never been happier. And every so often, when I passed that boutique and saw Lily through the window, her eyes dull and her posture hunched in defeat, I would smile. Because in the end, she didn't just lose me, she lost everything. With the divorce finalized and her carefully curated life crumbling around her, Lily had no choice but to face the reality she had so desperately avoided. She was no longer the darling of high society, no longer the woman draped in designer clothes, sipping cocktails at exclusive events. She was a nobody now, and it was killing her. I didn't bother keeping tabs on her at first, but life has a funny way of bringing karma front and center. Word of Lily's downfall spread fast, and I started hearing whispers of her decline through old acquaintances. She tried everything to crawl back into her former lifestyle. First, she attempted to cozy up to some of the wealthier men in her circle, men who might take pity on her and offer her a lifeline. But no one wanted to be associated with her after the scandal. She was damaged goods, and in a world where reputation was everything, hers was beyond repair. Next, Lily tried reaching out to Ryan, the man she had been sleeping with during our marriage, but he had already moved on. He left her unread and unanswered, further cementing her desperation. That's when the real desperation set in. One evening, just as I was settling into my new, peaceful life, there was a knock at my door. I already knew who it was before I even opened it. There stood Lily, clutching her designer handbag like it was the last piece of luxury she had left. Her once flawless makeup was smudged, her perfectly styled hair now dull and unkempt. She had aged, not in years, but in spirit. "Please," she whispered, her voice raw and desperate. "Just let me come in." I let out a low chuckle, leaning against the doorframe. And why would I do that? Tears welled up in her eyes. I was wrong. I was so wrong, and I miss you. I tilted my head, pretending to think it over. You miss me? Or do you miss the money, the security, the lifestyle? Her lip quivered, and she whispered, "You don't understand. I made a mistake. I was stupid. I got caught up in all the wrong things. But I know now that you were the best thing that ever happened to me." I laughed, a cold, humorless laugh. "You knew that the moment I walked out of that party, Lily. You just didn't care. Not until you lost everything." She reached for my hand, but I pulled away, disgusted. "We can fix this," she said, her voice trembling. "We can start over." I shook my head, my smile widening. "Start over? You mean let you back into my life so you can destroy it again?" "No," I said sharply. "I swear you humiliated me in front of your friends. You drugged me. You tried to ruin my reputation. And when that didn't work, you tried to take everything from me in court." She flinched at my words. I stepped forward, lowering my voice to a cold whisper. "Lily, you were nothing to me, less than nothing. And I wouldn't take you back if you were the last woman on earth." A broken sob tore from her throat. She stood there, trembling for a moment before turning on her heel and walking away. That was the last time I saw her. Final closure. The last nail in her coffin. Lily didn't just fade into obscurity. No, she plummeted. The last I heard, she had resorted to working at a mid-tier fashion boutique, one of those places where she used to shop, but now she was behind the counter, folding clothes and catering to women who barely acknowledged her existence. She had gone from sipping champagne at private galas to folding clothes for women who barely looked at her. A poetic end for a woman who once thought she was untouchable. As for me, I thrived. My business boomed, my social life blossomed, and I enjoyed a newfound sense of freedom. I had never been happier. Every so often, when I passed that boutique and saw Lily through the window, her eyes dull, her posture hunched in defeat, I would smile. Because in the end, she didn't just lose me, she lost everything. With the divorce finalized and her carefully curated life crumbling around her, Lily had no choice but to face the reality she had been desperately avoiding. She was no longer the darling of high society, no longer the woman draped in designer clothes, sipping cocktails at exclusive events. She was a nobody now, and it was killing her. I didn't bother keeping tabs on her at first. But life has a funny way of bringing karma front and center. Word of her downfall spread fast, and I began hearing whispers about her decline from old acquaintances. Lily tried everything to claw her way back into her former lifestyle. First, she attempted to cozy up to some of the wealthier men in her circle, men who might take pity on her and offer her a lifeline. But no one wanted to be associated with her anymore. She was damaged goods, and in a world where reputation is everything, hers was beyond repair. Next, she tried reaching out to Ryan, the man she had been seeing during our marriage, but he had already moved on. He ignored her messages, leaving her unread and unanswered. That's when the desperation truly set in.